the restaurant can write notes about you as a consumer. They can write if you're a bad tipper. They can write down if you're stealing coasters.
Are you supposed to be telling us this? I mean, I labored over this marriage thing for years. I'm just now kind of being okay with, like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Like,
I felt very, very uncomfortable with the hyper femininity, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Can't relate to cancel culture, hookup culture, or victim culture.
Well, neither could we. We created this platform for those other girls. Girls like us who want to give a different perspective from a Christian and conservative worldview.
We talk about life, work, relationships, pop culture, and everything in between. So let's be those other girls that just don't talk about culture,
but change culture.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to Those Other Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
I'm Freeman.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Those Other Girls with Mallory and Friends. If this is your first time here and you're like, what on earth is this? The algorithm recommended this for me, but I have no idea what it is. We are a podcast for girls, by girls, supporting women, and we're coming at this from the Christian conservative perspective. That does not mean you should change, because there are Christian conservative can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. But I think you should keep listening to hear what we view as Christian conservative. We are pro-woman. We are feminine. I'm girly. Would you consider yourself girly?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know you don't really like pink, and that doesn't mean girly, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess feminine. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Oh, 100% feminine. Freeman's style. Freeman and I have very different style. Freeman is so classy. I don't know how else, like, classy, like, New York Fashion Week, like... I just think of, like, just, like, classiness. I'm trying to think of,
I appreciate that.
Giselle type in my head. Like, yeah. So that's more Freeman. And I'm definitely, like, bright colors and flowers and pink.
Okay, it's funny you say that. My boss asked me to wear something more fun because I wore a blazer to work.
That is definitely Freeman. That fits you perfectly. Yes.
Yeah, you're right. And then, of course, Mallory is much more girly and fun and colorful and all the patterns, and it's just so fun. And it's so funny to see us together, you know? But yeah. Mallory's got her own style. She's got necklaces. She's got earrings. She's got the hairdo. She's got the nails. Pink / any color, anything colorful, anything fun, anything eye-catching.
Yes. And I'm letting you guys know this because, well, two things. Being a woman and feminine it's a spectrum. So we might not have the same type of style, but we still are both feminine. You can look at us, the way we carry ourselves, and we're going to be talking about godly femininity and all that stuff in the weeks to come, but we're still feminine, and I might not represent your style. Freeman might not represent your style, but you probably fall in either. I would say, at least for myself, I'm definitely an extreme. So you can fall somewhere in my circle. And if you don't fall in my circle, I'm sure you fall somewhere in Freeman's circle. So I'm saying all that just to give you guys kind of a hint of what this podcast is. We're going to be talking about girly, fun, pop culture things. And then we talk about sometimes a little bit more serious stuff. But our idea is really just to have these conversations that you guys are already having with your friends. And just giving the perspective of someone who calls himself a Christ follower and who does identify a little bit more conservatively when it comes to politics. And we have a myriad of other shows. So Those Are the Girls with Mallory Friends is our flagship show. And then we have Freeman Free for All Fridays, which is a Patreon exclusive. I also have a movie review podcast called Oops Spoilers. We also are going to have 2 more new podcasts in this next year. We're about to go into year 3, about a month from now. Yes, it'll be the 3rd year of the podcast, and which is really exciting because
exactly 1 year from now. We're recording this on the 26th.
Yes, exactly 1 year from now. No, 24th. But pretty much 1 year. 26th.
But the anniversary party is exactly
yes, the
1
party
month.
is the 26th. Exactly 1 month from now. I'm gonna get to the party in a second. So, but yeah, so like it's one thing, and this isn't a brag, but it kind of is. Sometimes it's okay, I think, to brag on yourself. But a lot of podcasts don't last this long if they're not like one of those big podcasts that's getting like 1 million downloads an episode.
Yeah.
A lot of people stop. So I think it's fun to celebrate. And if you're listening and you have a podcast, I think this is just kind of just a reminder, like, especially if you're not backed by, because money is what grows podcasts, if we're being honest. So if you don't have, thousands of dollars to put into your podcast, keep going. Keep going. You're going to get the listeners. The problem is you just got to keep going. Anyway, so our 1 year anniversary is coming up. And if you live in the Charlotte area, you are invited to our party. It is we'll give more details later, but it's going to be August 26th. And if you live in the Charlotte area, reach out. We would love to have you. We're celebrating 3 years of Those Are the Girls, and just excited about what the future is going to bring with the podcast. We're going to have more tea parties. We're going to have more get-togethers. We're going to do more for women who are in unplanned pregnancies. We have some more things down the pipeline. We're have more shows. We're going to have more conversations. I really, since we're having this conversation, I saw this video that really touched me about someone who, I was looking to see what type of drugs it was, but they were on some sort of drugs and their body was like rotting, and it was actually incredibly sad. I want to do an episode. I want to talk to someone who has had some sort of experience with drugs, like I'm guessing like fentanyl, heroin, something like that. So if you or someone you know has had some type of experience with that, let me know whether it was you who used it or someone you know uses it.
Wow.
I'll have to show you the video. Honestly, I don't know anyone. I mean, I know people who like marijuana and cocaine and stuff like that. But
sure.
Like, nothing like hard that would like rot your body. And it was the
Cocaine
saddest thing.
It's pretty hard.
Yes. No, I'm not pro cocaine. Let's just get that out here now. I'm not pro cocaine. I'm just saying that like.
You're like the soft things like cocaine.
You know what? And I guess that could just be because just the people. Anyway, you're right. Cocaine is not soft. Do not do cocaine. I'm not pro cocaine. I need that to be clarified. I'm not pro other things either. But anyway, but I don't think cocaine rots your body. I know that it, oh my goodness, is that girl that was on TikTok. That's another thing. She actually, it messed up her nose. She was snorting it so much. It's
yes.
Oh my God. It was like, she was warning people. I'm like, this is what should be going to the schools. None of that other stuff they had. She should be going to the schools. It is disgustingly terrifying. Like her nose is like flat. Like, and she had to put it's so gross. Don't do drugs, everybody. Seriously, like that. If you don't take away anything else from this podcast, I want it to be don't do drugs. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Drugs, hugs, not drugs. Anyway, so all that to say, I do want to have. That
would be really cool.
Yeah, I want to have conversations, some really good conversations, because I think these are important. And like I said, like I don't know anyone that's had that type of experience, and I would dare say some people in our audience might not know anyone either. So I think it will be good for us, especially as Christians. How do we reach these people? For sure. And 100%. I mean, looking at that video, I didn't really want to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it like real quick. I was thinking about that video, like this person, and I didn't really want to share it on my timeline because I'm always hesitant about sharing like homeless people. Like I think that's so tacky. Like don't record someone homeless at their absolute worst moment. So I was like trying to see if there was more context, because the guy was interacting and they tried to help him. It looks like when I did a little bit of digging, I tried to help him, but like he just wouldn't take it's an addiction. It really is something that's wrong with your brain. Like his body is literally rotting. It is awful. It's just, and he said it smells, and like I just can't even imagine. But his brain, sorry. Anyway, I want to talk to someone who would have some more knowledge on that, so we can figure out how do we help people, and like what are some like tangible things that we can do. Anyway, that's what this podcast is. If you haven't already, you should also join the Patreon. If this is like your 15,000th episode, join the Patreon. It's just $5 a month. You're going to be able to get exclusive content such as Free For All Fridays. We have some other videos that go on there. There's a bunch of other stuff that we've already done. What else is on there? And you get to know about things before everybody else does. You would want to be part of the Patreon, and you're also helping us. You're helping us pay for everything.
Yeah.
Merch. We have a merch site. This Tumblr is on there, as well as other things that we have. You should definitely check it out. Cute things if you like the podcast and you want to support us. I think those are. Oh, join our app. We're having some good conversations about the episodes on the app. You should absolutely join the app. I think that's pretty much it. Anything exciting happened for you this week?
Nope. I started got my new gig, my new job. I actually applied as a server, but I don't know anything about cocktails, and it's a cocktail bar, period. So that was a little bit of a hurdle. So I was asked to come on as a host, and like during that time as a host, I can be learning the drinks and like tasting things and kind of getting that knowledge. And then soon I'll be training as a server. So that was, a little bit of an ego hit, but it's okay. The hosting money is good, and I'm excited.
Is there like a pay difference?
Well, you don't get tips, and so that's the biggest thing. As a host, you're just not getting tips, but I think the money's still good.
Like minimum wage, though?
No, it's more than minimum wage. So.
Oh, okay. So, but the servers don't get paid minimum wage because they get the tips.
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw that like if you're serving somewhere in Charlotte, you can be making up to like $300 a night, which I don't expect I'd be making. But anyways, I'm really enjoying the place, and I'm excited to see I'm excited to learn, and I'm excited to, have a little bit of a challenge. So what about you, Mallory? Anything interesting this week?
Nice. Well, first I want to say I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Thanks.
Better than DoorDash, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it would be, even though I've never done service, a restaurant or anything like that, it's just never crossed my path. God bless people that do. One of my friends did, and she said like it is one of the hardest jobs. And
it can be really tough.
Yeah, God bless you. Seriously, God bless.
But okay, but something that I do know, and this is a PSA for everyone: if you make a reservation online, the restaurant can write notes about you as a consumer. They can write if you're a bad tipper. They can write that you were rude. They can write that you showed up late for your reservation. They can grade you. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes. They can write down if you're stealing coasters.
Are you supposed to be telling us this? I'm just joking.
No, I think this is good to know because, guys,
I'm sorry. Pause for a second. You said stealing coasters?
Yeah, we've had people like that'll steal coasters, and like they're banned. And so don't think that you're getting away with anything. You are being watched. They'll write on there, oh, this person camps for 2.5 hours, or this person doesn't like sitting at the bar. So it is like, well, you're being watched. Just know you're being watched.
Wow, this is some good information.
Yeah, yeah. You won't like if you have a bad review and like you're in like your account, they won't give you priority to be seated. They won't give you like anyways. It's wild. Like it is wild. Anyways, but like it's good for the employees because I'm not interested in like being spoken to like that. And that's part of what I really like about this job is like the owner, it like totally backs the servers and like the employees more so than the customers. Like there's a lot of times in the food service industry, there's like a mentality that's like the customer's always right. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem because the customer obviously isn't always right. And so the default I think should be your team and preserving like the good employees that you do have and having their back. So
yeah. Wow. Okay, this is good information. Everybody took some notes, and that's good to know. That is good to know. So for me, nothing really exciting happened this week, but I have an accidentally pro-life moment I want to share with the class.
With the class?
With the class. I want to share with the class.
With the students. The students are all listening.
Yes. Everyone gather around, listen.
Clap your hands if you can hear me.
Clap twice. Okay, so I'm rewatching Orange is the New Black. I'm not endorsing the show. I want to start off with that. It is really saucy. It was the first show that I had ever watched in college that like was inappropriate. So there are inappropriate moments in the show. I'm not endorsing it. For everyone's like just an FYI, I do fast forward. But I'm watching. It's more of like, first of all, background noise and the plot in the first like 2 or 3 seasons. Chef's kiss, great plot. Okay. Anyway, with all that out of the way, I'm watching the episode where one of the prisoners realizes that she is pregnant, right? Have you seen Orange is the New Black?
No, I haven't, but you texted me everything, so.
True. Okay, so one of the prisoners is pregnant, and she and one of the guards are having a romantic relationship. And it's the guy from How to Get Away with Murder. I didn't realize that. Anyway, so they're having a romantic relationship. She gets pregnant. Her mom realizes it. And she's like, no, I can't be pregnant. I can't be blah, blah. You know, all that happens. Especially because she's in prison. So, long story short, she wants to, quote unquote, get rid of it because it will mess up his job. And she just like, I'm in prison. I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to have a bunch of baby daddies, right? Okay, so then she gets another lady in the prison to make like a tea or something for her to cause an abortion. So she asks, she tells she's hesitant because she doesn't really want to do it, but she feels like that's what she has to do. And the lady's like, yeah, you just drink this and then you gotta do that and then it's gone.
Oh
and
my
she's
gosh.
Like, and then she asked, she was like, do you think the baby's gonna feel it? And the lady's like, no, they don't even have brains at this point. Right? So then she drinks the tea. So you're like, oh goodness. But then later, the mom admits that she had the lady who made the tea just make something up. She wasn't going to actually do an abortion. And the mom's like, you're not going to kill my grandchild. And then she's like, but mom, I can't. And then she's like, yeah, you can. We're going to figure it out. Like your kid, she said something like, your kids give you hope. That gives you something to look forward to in life.
Wow.
Like, essentially, yeah. And it's like super pro-life, accidentally pro-life.
Wow.
So then she says that. And then the girl admits like she's kind of glad it didn't work. It wasn't real. So it was just like, oh, wow, look at that. Accidentally pro-life.
You're so good at like picking up on things like that. Like, I feel like if I'm watching a film, I kind of like get lost in it and I don't make connections. But I feel like it's so cool that you are able to make these connections and like bring them back. And gosh, your mind is always working.
Okay, so the only reason, and this isn't like to brag, it's just like how it happens in my mind. So ever since I started like writing my own stories and like getting really serious about it, and then like I sometimes watch YouTubes about like how to create a story, I cannot look at any type of entertainment and just like watch it for what it is. And my brother's the exact same way. We'll be watching stuff and be like, well, that's da-da-da. Like even Chekhov's gun thing, I always try to say it before he does. And then, you know, my parents are like, okay, well, let's just watch the movie.
That's
and then
so
I'm like,
funny.
well, this is this. And I can't, like, ever since I started trying to, I don't necessarily want to write movies, but like writing it's all the same. Like you have to write a story. You want to be captivating. You want to keep your audience interested in the things that typically, not all the time, the things that are big that we see, those are like the top notch. Because I don't think I didn't realize this until my brother started watching a bunch of like random films. There's thousands on thousands of movies that we have never heard of that have the most interesting plot. They just didn't get big. Yeah. And some of them are actually really, really good.
I think low budget productions are top. Yes.
Same. There is this one movie my brother showed me. So good. I think it was filmed in like someone's house. And it's not that low budget, but it's definitely like, I mean, it's called Coherence. No one's heard of it. It's not we should watch it. It's so good. Great message. But, you know, throughout the whole movie, we're like, okay, this is analyzing. Like, okay, this connects to this. This connects to that. Oh, wow. Da, da, da. Anyway, so that's just a little thing about me.
Well, I love it.
Well, we should get started. 20 minutes in, haven't started yet, but that's okay. We have stories to do. I actually think the first story should be that tweet that is in the docket.
Okay.
Let's start off with that. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Clink. Okay. So our first story is really just a tweet, and I kind of just wanted to discuss why we think this is. Talk about the tweet. And I've been seeing like a version of this all this past week. It says, this is by some girl, officially Allie. I don't know why I said her name. It doesn't really matter. My takeaway from Barbie and Taylor is that we are starving for community and shared experience. Calling out, "Hi, Barbie," and exchanging friendship bracelets with strangers shows that we are not alone. We can still love and experience things together, and we've needed that. I've been seeing like variations of that in like this summer was for the girlies, thinking about like all the stuff with Taylor and Barbie and Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And it does feel like this was the summer for the girlies. But I think that this just kind of shows, especially coming out of the panorama, that everybody is really starving for like friendship and camaraderie, and also I was thinking about this when you weren't at the event, but when we went to the thing, the Taylor Swift like music thing, and I'm not even a Swiftie, like I knew like maybe 1/3 of the songs, but everyone was so kind, everybody was so happy, everybody genuinely looked so cute in their. It was like a variety of outfits, and you know, someone bumped into someone, and it was like, "Oh, sorry," as opposed to, you know, sometimes when you go out, especially when, and this is not a dig at men, but like when you go to places and you bump into a man, and he's usually like about it, and it's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry," like we are in a tight space, So anyway, it was just like such a like a fun like girly, and it kind of, and at one point I was standing there and I was like looking around, and it was like, we all probably have a wide variety of beliefs. You know, if you've ever seen my phone case says pro-life is pro-woman. So when I would ask people to take pictures of the group, or like, "Oh, what photo are we going to use?" and we use my phone, in the back of my head, I'm like, "Oh God, I really don't want to start a conversation." But it really didn't, or like, I don't want to start a fight. I wouldn't have a conversation, but like, you know, I'm not there to be like, "And then everyone, abortion is matter," you know.
For sure.
That's not how you're going to change anyone's mind. Anyway, so I just wanted to have, I didn't want it to cause a thing, but like nobody said anything. And it was just kind of one of those things where it was like, hey, we're all just here. We're all just human. We're just human girls that like to dress up. Because that's the other thing too. Everybody was dressed up. Whether they were dressed up in a Taylor Swift costume, whether a girl came in a dinosaur costume, I'm sure there's some sort of lore that I did not quite understand that.
An inside joke.
Inside joke for Swifties. I was on the outside of that one, but you know, people loved it. I think she won the costume contest. And even with Barbie, like everyone was dressed up, especially that first showing. You know, you'd stand and look around. Everybody's wearing pink and everybody's really excited and happy. Everybody's like, you know, laughing together, crying together. And I think it's just, we really needed this like camaraderie. We really needed, as humans, we just needed a time where we're not so concerned about like politics. We're not so concerned about like, I don't want to say like our health, but like, you know, like the panorama was hard on a lot of people. A lot of people lost family members. You know, it was just such a difficult time. So I think we were all starved for that. What are your thoughts about the tweet and about like girlhood and all that other stuff?
Well, as you've kind of mentioned in the intro, I think you and I are just different in this way because I haven't experienced that camaraderie that you experienced. Like, to be honest with you, sorry. I mean, like, I'm not really like, I would have gone to the Swiftie thing if it was just to be with you guys. I would have gone to Barbie if it was like just to be with you guys, but it's not like something that I'm gonna like force Andy to go to or like go alone, you know?
Right.
But what would you say to like those of us that can't relate, like those of us that like we're not on the Barbie train, we're not on the Taylor Swift train, we're not on the Little Mermaid train? Like, I think it can be something that we can share, but I can't necessarily like relate. I'm not going to be like going out to people saying, "Hey, Barbie," and giving them, you know, a friendship bracelet. Like, I can't relate to that, but I don't know. And I imagine there are other people out there that just they have other things they're dealing with or other things they're worried about than like going and seeing Barbie. So I don't know. I mean, I love that like there is this thing, that this unifying force, and I can definitely feel it. And that's the part that's fun to me, is just doing something fun with friends. It doesn't really have to do with like Pink or Taylor Swift. Exactly. It doesn't have to do with the thing. And for you and for others, like, it does. Like, you were really excited to see Little Mermaid. You would have been at Little Mermaid if you were alone, if it was the middle of the night, if it was in the middle of a tornado. Like, you were going to go because that means a lot to you. But I'm wondering how those of us that just we don't have that similar like interest, how can we share in this experience?
Great question. I think that the overall experience, the overall message of it all is just kind of like womanhood sisterhood is more what it is, I think. And I think you kind of made some good points. And I think that what you were saying about just going to be with your friends, I think that is kind of one of the things that people who aren't feeling that, like, oh, I don't really care about Barbie, because there are tons of people who didn't really care about Barbie that were girls. And I think that just the idea of just going with your friends and then maybe finding things that you feel excited about that are like that. Yeah. I'm trying to think of something. Is there a movie coming out that you're like super excited about?
No.
Okay.
But like, there are plenty of things, like, I can think of, like, I would love to take everybody to Topgolf. That would be really fun to me. Yeah. Things like that, I think. Like, just being able to share in each other's experiences. And can I share one thing about the Barbie thing, and then we can move on?
Yeah.
Something, and I just want to, like, put this out there. When we were trying to go to that Barbie brunch, I felt really intimidated by, like, all of the women in pink, all of the women that, okay, this sounds very prudish, but, like, there were a lot of really revealing outfits, and you and me and Elise and Caitlin were probably the most modestly dressed. I felt very, very uncomfortable with the hyper femininity, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I think it's because, like, probably an insecurity, because I didn't feel like I was measuring up to the other women that were standing in line, that were participating. So I just want to, like, put it out there that if you're feeling like maybe you're not going to be the first to jump on this bandwagon, and maybe it's because of an insecurity, or maybe it's just because you're not interested, or maybe a combination of both, like me. You have a friend in me. I feel you. I get that. And, like, you have a space in this conversation. You don't have to be, like, all in.
No. And I can admit I'm probably not the majority of people. The majority of people are probably more closer to you. But I wanted to add, the other thing I wanted to add was I saw another tweet from a girl who said that she never really felt feminine or like hyper feminine or anything like that. She went to see the Barbie movie with her friends, and it kind of felt good to kind of just like relax a little bit. And she said that when she was younger, she had stopped saying pink was her favorite color because she felt like, that's just too much. And and I'm not saying that that's anyone here, because, there's everybody, we all have different experiences. But I just want to say, like, you don't have to feel super like you have to be hyper feminine. That is just some people, to enjoy it. And that's just some people's personality. And, like, your experience is completely valid. I mean, it was definitely very hyper feminine vibes, 100%. And a lot of the women, surprisingly, were a lot older than us. Yeah. I thought they'd be around my age. And the girls in front of us were my age, I think. But a lot of people behind us were, like, 30s, 40s, maybe even some ladies in their 50s. It wouldn't surprise me. So I understand kind of feeling a little intimidated with that. Your feelings are valid. And I think that you're not the only person who feels that way in hyper feminine situations. And I think that when you do try to feel that way, I think kind of just remembering that
as long as you're a girl, like, this is your space.
Exactly.
Period.
Like, yes, exactly. Like, you're feminine either way. Like, it doesn't really It doesn't really
Doesn't
matter
care how it manifests.
exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly.
I'm just getting excited about this. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off like a million times.
No, you're good. And I'm glad that you're giving this perspective, because like I'm giving a perspective, you're giving a different perspective. And I think that the whole thing being about like sisterhood is what's important. So even if someone were to not necessarily be super like feminine or anything like that, I think they should be able to enjoy spending time with their friends. So like said about Top Golf, I would attend a Top Golf event because I've been invited. I could not care less about that. But if a friend invites me, I'm going to go.
Right.
And if we all go together, that's like, well, all us girls, that's sisterhood. That's fun. We're having fun. If there's a girls' night, that's fun. Yeah. You know, we see another, what is it called? The groups over, another girl group. Hey, girl. Yeah, what's up? What's up? You know, and we can talk about finances or we can talk about boys. Like, it just, you know which one I'd rather talk about. But anyway, so like, it just, the idea is more of just like the sisterhood, not necessarily the hyper femininity about it. So yeah. And like for example, like with Barbie, like it had all the fashion, all that stuff. If you're not really interested in that, I can totally understand not really caring. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it makes you any less of a woman or any greater of a woman. It's just, we all have different interests. But I do think it's like...
That was really sweet. I loved that little segment.
Okay. Are you done with this? Okay, I thought you were...
No. I thought we were done.
I'm done with this conversation.
No. I'm
you're
sorry.
right. We should move on. No.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I want everyone to feel welcomed and loved in the sisterhood. Everybody is... We're all girls. Like, look out for each other. Girl code, Ariana. But anyway, Ariana Grande, if y'all have been keeping up with that. All right, next story. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Thank you. No, but thank you for your kindness and your acceptance.
Okay. Ariana Grande is dating one of her co-stars for the Wicked movie that was married, and they all hung out together before. And she just had a baby less than a year ago.
Are you trying to make a story about that?
No. That's not a story. It's just, I'm upset.
I feel like that definitely could be.
That. Yeah, I thought she was better than that, but I was wrong.
Oh, so you were saying girl code like at?
Yeah, okay, like understood. Yeah. Like
tagging
her, girly. Kind of. Like that's really against girl code. Anywho, all right, let's do the one about birth control. Okay, so this next story is brought to you by Evie Magazine. And I think you guys might have heard about this. People were talking about it for a while, and I think we should talk about it. Okay, so the FDA approves the first birth control pill available without a prescription. For the first time ever, an over-the-counter birth control has been approved by the FDA. This development is being marketed as a huge step forward for women, but there are many factors that need to be considered. In a groundbreaking development, the FDA approved a daily oral contraceptive pill known as Opill for over-the-counter sale last Thursday, or a couple Thursdays ago. The approval allows Opill, which comes in a tablet form, to be sold over-the-counter on a variety of platforms ranging from online markets to drugstores, convenience stores, and grocery stores. Patrizia Cavazzoni, the director of the FDA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, remarked, quote, "Today's approval marks the first time a non-prescription daily oral contraceptive will be available option for millions of people in the United States."
People.
Wow, we literally have... Yeah, people.
And is the FDA biased? Because they just said people.
People. She added that when used as directed, daily oral contraceptives such as Opill is, quote, this is what she's saying, is safe and is expected to be more effective than currently available non-prescription contraceptive methods in preventing unintended pregnancy, end quote. The approval of over-the-counter daily oral contraceptives is being painted as a significant step forward in empowering individuals to take control over their reproductive health. But very few conventional medical experts are willing to also educate their patients on the negative side effects that come from the pill. Lauren, a family nurse practitioner who goes by @NaturalNurseMama on Instagram, is one of the many who have discussed the pill's potential to cause chronic health issues. Lauren explains that while birth control is often a sensitive topic, it's essential to understand its effects. Quote, birth control shuts off communication between the brain and the ovaries, and that has a ripple effect throughout the entire body. Lauren claims that the pill, classified as a group 1 carcinogen, can lead to chronic gut issues and nutrient depletion. She explains that synthetic hormones in the pill have been associated with increased risk of heart attack and blood clotting since 1960s. Further potential adverse effects include, everybody listen to this, liver tumors, increased risk of Crohn's disease, likelihood of being prescribed antidepressants, and depletion of vital nutrients necessary for mood stabilization, pregnancy, and regular menstrual cycles. Clinically, Lauren has noticed consistent patterns in women on the pill. Listen to this. Such as a deep-rooted fungal infection like Candida. These can lead to chronic health issues including headaches, fatigue, gut issues, weight gain, low libido, anxiety, and depression. Post-pill conditions such as PCOS, liver congestion, and infertility are common, yet often overlooked by conventional medicine. Before we start handing out the pill to women over the counter, we need to ensure there is a proper education about what the potential side effects and dangers are, or else there will be many more health issues around the country that can cause more harm than good. This wasn't even the entire article, but I just thought those parts were very, very important to read.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts?
Well, I think this is a multi-level kind of conversation. There's obviously the societal effects. There's the history of the pill. There's the individual effects, the individual physical effects, the individual spiritual effects, and the individual emotional effects, psychological effects as well. So this is a really complex conversation, and I want to kind of take it everywhere. But let's first start off with, I can understand the desire to control your body. I can understand the desire to prevent pregnancy, to not have children right now. I can understand why, especially if you believe in conventional reproductive health, why a post-Roe world might mean more access to birth control. There are plenty of pro-lifers even who believe that a post-Roe world means more access to birth control. And I think a lot of pro-lifers would say that birth control prevents abortion. But I know that there are people that get annoyed when we kind of put birth control in the abortion camp of discussion, but they're really related, because think about the mentality that birth control contributes to. Think about the narrative. The narrative is that consequence-free sex exists and you're entitled to it. And if you believe that, then you're probably not going to have much of a problem with abortion. So there is a narrative that this is pushing, and it really requires like strong convictions to be resistant to the narrative, because you can turn on, the Daily or the New York Times, and normally, like, of course they're like slightly left leaning, but like you hear reproductive health and you think, sure, of course, so you have to be hyper aware of the narrative that's being pushed. I could go so many different directions. I could talk about the history of birth control, and like the NAACP originally did not approve of it because of its eugenics history. This is not false information either, you guys. Like, plenty of Black Americans when it first came out did not approve of it. Plenty of feminists even approved of it because they said this was a tool of the patriarchy. This is going to be used to push us further into the workforce, but in a oppressive way. Geez. It's disappointing to me that there are conversations about not needing any kind of age limit on this. Like, I had to scan my ID to get NyQuil yesterday, but I imagine in progressive states, you're not going to need any kind of ID or anything like that. I know somebody who was given like the pill and she had like really, really intense heart palpitations and was not given any idea that this could cause it. I mean, it's really, really dangerous, I think, to have these things so accessible. I think it has all kinds of implications for the individual and for society. So what do you think? What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head numerous times throughout your thoughts, and I kind of want to piggyback a little bit off of what you said toward the beginning. I don't remember if Sab and I talked about it during the podcast or when we had our own personal conversation, but I used to, actually, I think it was on the podcast because she said this as well. So we both were talking about how we used to be like, the only issue is abortion. There's nothing more to it. It's just don't have abortions. And the more you learn about abortions, the more you learn about like, how do we get there, and you want to truly start to look at roots, you kind of realize it's a full spectrum. It's not really just don't have abortion. So I think that people, and like you said, many pro-lifers, I've been in, group chats with other pro-lifers and mentioned something about birth control, and they're like, how can you be against birth control? And, many people think this, and it takes time to like really think out the full process of everything to come to the conclusion that we have. But it truly is like, and I know, and like you said, people don't like it to lump together, but it does go together, because the only reason why you will have an abortion is if you are pregnant. The only way you get pregnant is through sex.
Yeah. And
if you are, and we're not talking about the, 0.1%, we're talking about the majority, 99.9%. If you are living a lifestyle where, like you said, you use the term, what was it, like free sex, not free sex,
consequence-free sex,
consequence-free sex, whether you have the pill or not, you're not going to have the mindset to what am I trying to say? The more sex you have increases the possibility for you to get pregnant, which increases the possibility that you would consider an abortion. When you are having consequence-free sex, you're not thinking, like, it just becomes part of hookup culture, is it just becomes something that you're doing. It's not really something that you think about. And I do think, as a Christian, and I'm only speaking as a Christian, I was accused of slut shaming the other day. I'm not trying to slut shame anyone. I'm talking as a Christian. Sex should be important. It shouldn't be just something that you willy-nilly do, that is just like this thing that we sometimes do. And here we go, we're throwing in consequence-free. And I think once we stopped like putting sex on a pedestal, once we stopped saying that like, it's this great and it's important, we start looking for ways to do it however, whenever, with whoever. Once we started looking at however, whenever, with whoever, we wanted to make sure we could do it however, whenever, with whoever without having any consequences. Once we found out we can have it without consequences, then we got a consequence.
We can hurt others. We can hurt others in the process.
Exactly. And that's how we got to here. So I think that, this easy accessibility to birth control is not going to help the way they think it is. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe there are some statistics that show that an increase of birth control does not necessarily equal a decrease in abortions.
Exactly. Okay. 50% of women that have an abortion were using some kind of contraception. And I just want to say that how many 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls can you think of that would be able to take the same pill every day, the same time of day? Listen, okay, this is a conspiracy theory of mine, but I think it's got some stick.
Let's hear it.
This is a push of the abortion industry to increase profits, because they know you are going to fail at taking this pill. You are going to fail. And when you fail, you're going to come to us. And I think it's just setting girls up for failure. I think it's just, and if you're pro-life, like, remember that a side effect of this kind of thing, it prevents the uterine lining from thickening, which creates a hostile environment to a conceived human being. Meaning, if you conceive while on the pill, a fail-safe of the pill is not letting your baby latch on your uterine wall, therefore killing him or her. So it has abortifacient side effects that people are not talking about, people are not aware of. Good Christian, even good Catholics, like, are not aware of these things.
People truly are not aware of it. I used to think, oh yeah, birth control is whatever. I did not know that until I did my own research. People are not aware of it, and people aren't talking about it because it's uncomfortable. It is so uncomfortable.
And they can't find studies about it because like I've even tried looking it up like many times in different ways, and like there are no studies about this. I mean, I can find a few because it exists. I mean, it is listed as a side effect if you look at these pills, but it's not like anybody's talking about it. It's definitely not like Western medicine is going to give you any kind of indication that you could be having an abortion and not know it. Because if so, many women would say no.
Yeah. And, you know, so we talked about that aspect. It really isn't going to stop abortions. And I think another thing, and we've talked about this ad nauseum on the podcast, and we'll keep talking about it, it's also not good for your health.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the one thing that I just cannot stop thinking about, I listened to this podcast by Lisa Vitti. She has an amazing book. Everybody, we should maybe read it one day as a class. But she said there were all these studies done to make sure Viagra helped men. I mean, they did, the moment any type of side effect, we got to fix it. They barely did anything for the birth control. And that is just, I mean, talk about patriarchy. That just, I can't stop thinking about that. It hurts your body. It goes against what you're on the very, so we have episodes about it, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to keep talking about it, and I'll link some other episodes, but on the very micro, like, surface level, it goes against what your body is designed to do.
If it's not broken, don't fix it, y'all.
Exactly. And it hurts you. It truly hurts you. There are other ways. I'll link some podcasts that we've had. There are other ways if you are trying to, within marriage and everything, you're trying not to conceive. And even if you are, never mind. I'm not even gonna endorse that.
We're not endorsing it, but like, it doesn't mean your body doesn't care if you're married or not.
That's true too. That's true. So, we'll link all that stuff, but it on the very basic level, you're going against what your body is literally designed to do. We as women are so amazing. I heard someone say, like, we bring people into the universe. Like, people do not exist until they're in us. And then they leave wherever they are, their souls, wherever their souls are, comes through us. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
Why do we want to? Yes. Why do we want to mess that up? Why do we want to, like, get in the way of that? That's just, another spiritual thing aspect of it. Anything else you want to add, Freeman?
No, I think we've talked about this at length in other podcasts. So if you want to go back, I've given all kinds of spiels. Mallory has given all kinds of spiels. We could continue on this forever. So if you want to learn more, go look back at some of previous episodes because we talk at length about this issue.
Yes, and we've even had special guests on to talk about it because I just think it's really important. People are not really talking about this, and we have to be the ones to talk about it. Okay, so our next story that we're going to do is another story brought to you by EV Magazine.
We love them.
Yes. I'd love to have the founder on the podcast.
That would be so cool.
If you're listening. Just joking, I doubt she listens. But if you are, you're always welcome to come on. So this is titled, I Have Lots of Thoughts, and You Have Lots of Thoughts. And this is titled, Chelsea Handler Brags Again About Being Child-Free, Points to a Faulty Study That Claims Single Women Are Happiest. Here we go. The comedian is back to claim that her single childless life is much more exciting than that of a married mom. But the study she references turns out to be a dud, and there is much more research pointing to the fact that married moms are the happiest, healthiest demographic. Morgan Stanley's prediction in 2019 projected that 45% of women aged 25 to 44 would be single and childless by 2030, a demographic commonly known for its substantial economic contributions. However, the implications for the already dipping birth replacement rate in American society are concerning. Even so, comedian Chelsea Handler has made it her mission to champion the joys of living single and childless. Earlier this year, she shared an Instagram reel showcasing a day in the life of a childless woman, humorously highlighting her freedom to indulge in her own pleasures rather than attending to the demands of motherhood. Recently, Handler has resurfaced the topic with a new video aiming to convince skeptics of her blissful childless life. In response to a statistic cited by Adam Sosnick, Handler took to Twitter to share her views, stitching her video with Sosnick, and she confronted his presumptive "what's wrong with that?" with a resounding nothing. She expressed her frustration with the notion that some men could digest the idea of a woman leading a fulfilling life without marriage or children, referring to it as small D-word energy. Sosnick's belief that women who are childless, unmarried, and financially independent at 45 can't be genuinely fulfilled met with Handler's strong rebuke. Let me scroll. Sorry.
Should we play this? Or probably not?
Sure.
Because the Stitch talks really fast, and then her responses are normal. So I don't know if people will be able to hear it.
Let's try it, and then I guess if it's awful, we'll tell people to listen to it.
Listen up, Jedediah. I don't know if that's your real name or your sister wife's name, but I have some downtime between my back-to-back champagne brunches this morning. According to Paul Dolan, who is a professor of behavioral science at the London School of Economics, which is a pretty good school, women who are single with no children are happiest. Dolan says that recent data shows that long-established traditional symbols of success, like marriage and motherhood, do not necessarily correlate with happiness levels. And if you don't believe me, just ask this happily married mom of 4 how things are working out for her. I really thought those two were going to make it. I always heard that the couple who gives a town diarrhea together stays together. But apparently, that's a no. Oh, and don't worry, Jedediah, this wine won't make me red or puffy. Since I don't have kids to pay for, I have extra money, and I bought a hyperbaric chamber. So it's great for the skin, my circulation, so I can just drink and do as many drugs as I want, and then I come back in here and flip it and reverse it. Peace be unto you.
Okay, so that's the video. Evie has some notes and stuff that I guess this was part of my free reading. I'll link it so you guys can read the whole thing. And they have like a counterpoint to that, obviously. But I wanted to discuss the Chelsea Handler of it all. That's why I wanted to do it. It's just about the idea of being 44, single, and unhappy. If you don't mind, I'd like to go first.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So, as the 28-year-old single without any prospects, I think about this a lot. Obviously, most of my friends are married. Even my super young friends are married. And it does cross my mind a lot because I'm a girl and I am, as we've established, I'm a girly girl. So obviously I want to be married. I wanted to have the beautiful wedding and the gowns and have bridesmaids. I wanted to do the whole shebang and like find a nice prince and everything. But once you hit a certain age, you kind of have to realize that like your prince could come, but you need to be doing like you got to do something. So that's why a lot of women are in the workforce. Part of the reason they're working and doing things, even though I would work, but I definitely will be doing something completely different. I'd actually be doing something I love. So, that's part of the reason why women are doing that. But because after you hit a certain age, you have to contribute to society. It just isn't right if you don't. So I think that, so this is something I think about a lot. A couple of things. there was a tweet going around this week too, where someone was saying how they were in their late 20s, early 30s, and they were single. And they said, how often are you singles? Is anyone getting hugs or having human touch? How often in your 20s and 30s are you having human touch if you're single and you're not dating? And, you know, all these people were saying, you know, not all these people, but a couple people were like, yeah, I don't really have blah, blah. I was like, that's really sad. I feel human touch almost daily. I cannot relate to that. I also am a hugger. I also have really good friends. You know, my brother's my best friend. So like, I cannot relate to that. I go out, I do things. And I think, and not only that, like I do things outside of myself. I think that's kind of all that to say, I think it really what it boils down to, whether you're the 44 single cat lady that's never, you know, that's just sad and going to die alone. I think that all boils down to like, what are you doing in your singleness? I think that's where conservatives, really, because that's who's kind of talking about this the most, that's where they get it wrong. Just because you do not get married, you know, before 25 doesn't mean you're going to die alone with cats, a super successful woman. It just means you didn't get married before 25, because there are plenty of people who are happy and fulfilled and who are doing things that are single. That's the part that I think we're really, really missing. Like, I can't really complain too much about the aspect of my life that I do not necessarily like is not because of my singleness. Like, it wouldn't change. Like, if I still had this thing, me being single, me being married wouldn't change that. The other aspects of my life that I love are just that I love. Like, I'm not going to, you know, like, I'm not sad because I'm single type of thing. Like, I'm not missing out on anything because I'm not a mom. Are these things that I desire? Absolutely. But you don't have to be super sad and lonely and like...
And living in the future, living in the what if.
Right. And like be a cat lady. Because that's another thing too that they're always talking about. Like, I mean, I don't even like cats like that. Like, you don't have to be all that just because you're single. Especially, you know, I've talked to a couple of girls who are, I know I'm always talking to people. I talked to a couple girls who are like, I would say they're, I want to say she's like 22, 23, and she's single, and she was just kind of expressing to me that she's getting a little nervous, and I'm like, 22, 23, that's still fairly young. No problem with you getting married if you found the person, do it or not. But I don't think you shouldn't be thinking about your future as a cat lady at that point. I think sometimes we have like, I think cat lady stuff around 30, you know, that's when you should start thinking like, oh, is this gonna, no, I'm just joking. I don't think you should ever be thinking about that. Cause like you can still have a nice, fun, successful, are you involved in your church? Are you doing helping your friends? Are you having fun with your friends? Are you helping people in your community? Like, there's just so many things that, like, it doesn't have to be this awful, evil thing like singleness. And my concern with everyone being such a hyper, like, gotta get married, is people are going to be settling. And what do I mean by settling?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that.
And what do I mean by settling? I don't mean like, oh, he doesn't make a lot of money. I mean like he's addicted to pornography.
Yeah.
But he says he's a Christian. And let me tell you, there's tons of guys out there. When I say settling, I mean he is not mature. And I don't mean like, oh, I mean like he's immature. Yeah. Like he is not ready. But he's a Christian, and you're so scared that you're going to get married. You're going to be 30. That is my concern when I see this. I am very pro getting married young. If I could do it again, I would. I mean, why would that doesn't make sense because I can't just marry myself. If I had the option, I was going to say I would have liked to get married young. That's what I mean. Because I was like, if no one asked me, there's no way I would have been able to get married young. Okay. Yeah. If I had your option, if I had the choice, I would have gotten married young. Sure. So I'm not against that at all. I just think that the idea that if you don't get married at like if you get married older than 25, or I'm sorry, if you don't get married before 25, you're going to be this evil, awful, like slob Chelsea Handler.
Yeah.
You're going to be Chelsea. I just reject that because I know that's just not true. I reject that premise. You don't have to be like that. And Chelsea Handler, like, I think when people are discussing, they do make some good points. It does sound kind of like a selfish life. I don't know her full story. I don't know. I mean, she's not my type of humor. I know next to nothing about her, but from her, I'm childless and happy. Like, it does kind of almost feel like thou doth protest too much as well. But then again, no one else is saying they're childless and happy. Like, no one else is doing that. So I understand, like, wanting to push against that narrative. But, you know, it does almost feel like thou doth protest too much. I think that you have to realize that your life path is your life path, and try not to get into your head about like everybody else's. And this is coming from someone who labored. I mean, I labored over this marriage thing for years. I'm just now kind of being okay with like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Like, do I desire it? Sure. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I can still have a nice, fulfilling life. I can still be there for my friends. I can still, I'm still going to be around babies. Like that's something that's going to happen. And realize I'm not in control of that. At the end of the day, like I said a couple minutes ago, you can't marry yourself. You have to meet somebody. And if that person you're supposed to be with doesn't cross paths with you, then they just don't cross paths with you. All that to say, you don't have to live the Chelsea Handler life of drinking wine in a hyperbolic chamber. That sounds lame to me too. Like, why are you drinking so much that you need a hyperbolic chamber? And why are you drinking by yourself? So like, you don't have to live that life if you're single.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
I
thoughts as the married woman?
No, I completely agree with all of you. It makes me think about vocations, which is what you were getting at. Like, Mother Teresa wasn't called a married life. I mean, look how fruitful she was. I think we can produce fruits in ways other than physical fruits, like fruits of children. We can be spiritual mothers. We can have community. We can use our gifts in ways that maybe we didn't plan to, but maybe those are the ways that God plans for us to. Yeah. So I wonder, I also wondered, like, who is she trying to convince? I mean, you kind of touched on it. Like, why are you so hyper concerned about me believing that you're happy? Like, if somebody were to say, like, oh, Freeman and Andy, yeah, can't you see them? Oh my gosh, no, they are so not happy. I'd be like, I'm sorry you feel that way,
Right.
That would be the extent of my concern. But like, if we really weren't happy, I'd be like, what? Yes, we are. Like, why would you say that? Did something happen? Did he say something? Did you see something? You know what I mean? Like, I would be really concerned if I was trying to like compensate for something. So I'm just definitely worried for her that like, this is taking so much of her time and energy that she feels like she has to she's so concerned about you and I believing her that she's really happy. I mean, if she was really happy, it shouldn't matter what we think.
Yeah. And kind of piggybacking off of that, and I think that in your singleness, I mean, first of all, Paul says it's better to remain single anyway. So that's the first thing. Second thing, in your singleness, the Bible does say, like, this is a time to, like, as Christians, she's definitely not a Christian. At least she doesn't claim to be, and there's no fruit. I'm not trying to judge. But, as Christians, like, we're called to do things, to be active. And to me, I feel like singleness would really suck more if you're just, I'm waking up at 7 a.m. and I'm drinking till I need a hyperbolic chamber. I haven't, donated to my PRC. You wouldn't catch me folding clothes. Oh, yeah. Helping my neighbor's child. Not today. Like,
they're slobbery. No thanks.
Yeah. Like, that seems like a sad life to me. The overall singleness, not so much. Like I said, like, you can do so much more. I mean, I even think about certain things like I can come and go as I please without having to run it by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
Yeah. Like, so and with that, I can possibly, let's say I get a call in the middle of the night, just something right. And Jane from the pregnancy center in our town. Like, Mallory, we need someone to go and
Pick up a mom.
Pick up a mom. I can.
Going into labor. Go get her.
Right. I can be like, okay. All right, give me a second, because she'd have to call my phone 3 times. I do put it on Do Not Disturb. So, all right, I'll do it. But, for example, like my mom has to tell my dad.
Right.
And, like, there's just
run it by you guys and let you know.
Exactly, where I can just get up and go. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like that, this is also why, I think singleness kind of exists, because not everybody, like God isn't, we're not promised a spouse. And I know that's very controversial. People get very like, about that. But we're not promised a spouse. And that's okay. God is so good either way. But I think that like in the singleness, you really like selflessness is really what singleness should also be about. And marriage should be about selflessness.
Exactly.
So your selflessness, your whole life. Exactly. And it should be like a seamless, pretty much, like the selflessness should be seamless. You should be learning your selflessness, because when we're children, we're selfish. By the time I'm 28, by the time you're 28, you need to have a little bit of selflessness, okay? No shade to those who aren't, but like Chelsea, like you need to have a little bit of selflessness. And I think that selflessness seamlessly works into your marriage. If that is what happens. And you could get married at 50 and have a wonderful, beautiful, fruitful marriage where you adopt kids that needed love, or you have a Sarah moment where you have kids at 60. I mean, that's anything is possible. The idea is just to go along with what God has. Like God's plan is going to be so much greater than anything that you can come up with. And once again, I'm saying this as someone who, like, I would not have said this 3 years ago. I would not have said this 3 years ago. So like, if you were kind of like, oh, I don't know about what I'm saying, like, I get it. I get it. But like, eventually you come to this conclusion. That's all I've got to say.
Well, I think it's just important that, like, in our Christian spaces, we have a variety of vocations, a variety of stages of life. And it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean that anything you've done has contributed to just that this hasn't been God's plan for you. So I love that this space can be diverse in all the right ways.
This was such a diverse episode. Almost every single topic we've discussed, we've had the diverse
perspectives.
And I think and we're gonna wrap it up. We actually had 2 more stories, but it's over an hour. So we're gonna wrap this up. And I just think that's whatever.
Holy Spirit-led conversation.
Seriously, this was a good conversation. And I really do like that we have the different perspectives, because I really want to emphasize that, like, we all don't have to think exactly the same, because we also have all had different life experiences. And I think that really kind of encompasses it. But here's what differs us from, others, is that we're all coming at this we're saying that we are your sisters in Christ, that we are Christians, and we're coming at it from what we believe is a biblically based perspective. So even if you disagree with a different perspective, or if you disagree, like, just know that we're coming at it from this, and you can have a conversation with us and on the app from just knowing that established part that, like, we're saying what we believe is biblically based.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, everyone, so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a different episode. It wasn't, not our usual, like, I don't know. It was a different episode.
But like last week we were like, are you flat phobic?
Yeah. Yeah. Last week was a little sillier. This week was a little more serious. So let us know which one you prefer, serious or silly. We'll continue to do both, but it'd be nice to know which one you like. And also share this episode with all of your friends. I think this is a great episode to share with friends who are kind of like on the fence about birth control, or they're kind of on the fence about what it means to be like Christian, and like, what are your Christian beliefs on this? I think this is a great episode to share with them. I will come up with an idea for the question on Spotify and YouTube. Haven't the foggiest at this moment. It's also kind of late. We could
ask, are you going to be the first in line for Barbie, or are you more going there with friends?
Oh, that's a good one.
Get people to think about this, and you're invited. Even if you don't feel like you're completely on the bandwagon, you're still invited.
Yes. And it's okay if you're not hyper feminine.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate that. It is okay.
And it's okay if you are. If you're a Mallory, then we love it. You're here.
And you know what's so funny? Just really quick. I don't think I have any friends that are hyper feminine. Like, think about the people I hang out with.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a single hyper feminine friend, which is
True.
so funny to me.
True. Like Elisa's got chickens, you know?
Yeah. Oh god. Don't get me started. So like, that's so funny. Anyway, I don't know. That's just an interesting thing another interesting fact about me. But yeah, let us know if you are going with your friends or if you're hyper feminine and you're like, oh, Barbie.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Make sure you are sharing. Oh, rate, review, subscribe. We really, really need some more ratings on Apple Podcasts. That
Good
would just, you would be doing me a solid if you did that. So if you can leave a rate and review on the Apple Podcast, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you for listening, however, whenever you are. Bye.
Peace.